So I have been talking to various friends. I'm going to call them elders for the lack of a better word. So late Gen Xers, boomers, in really talking about the Hopi prophecy and talking about how the truth, the various truths are finally rising. And these gender wars and these generational wars, boomers against Gen Xers, boomers against Gen Zers, whatever the fuck other gens people have come up with. I think it's important for you guys to realize that the people who were saying the truth 75 years ago, the people who were writing books that were oppressed by the machine, are finally being read by your generation, my generation. And I'm talking about people like Rampa Tilapsang. I'm talking about Ruth Montgomery. I'm talking about Elizabeth Clare Prophet, who I was studying in the 80s. People of that level who were writing about buried truths. People who were really harmed. Martin Bernal, a Jewish scholar out of Rutgers University, who wrote about the bastardization of history during the 19th century. Really, really brutal timeline where historians, Egyptologists, and anthropologists lied to, I'm just going to say, whitewash what was not to be. They also made sure to, they had to. They had to, because how else are you going to how else are you going to do this, right? And they also, their misogyny was so ramped up, and we can thank Queen Victoria for this shit, okay? They were so misogynistic against women that they also destroyed examples of female, I'm just going to say, supremacy. Yeah, I'm going to say it like that because I got to. What the hell am I going to do? And you can see evidence of that with the Venus de Willendorf. Venus de Willendorf is a little booby doll, for real. I mean, I'm actually quoting The Witches of Eastwick, by the way, when I say that. But Cher in the movie The Witches of Eastwick, thank you, my love, for your support and love. The Witches of Eastwick, Cher is a sculptress, and she is making those booby dolls. She's actually replicating the Venus of Willendorf. So the fat belly, pendulous breast, Neolithic, prehistoric art, and as a goddess, okay? I remember doing a copper plate etching of it as kind of like satire called Pinup de Willendorf. And my Pinup de Willendorf is in profile, and you're seeing these jutting out tits, tiny little 18-inch waist with a big ass, kind of like a nod to that, how we were sexualized and brutalized into corsets and things of that nature. Anyway, so what's extraordinary about what's happening right now is that us who are elders are watching you guys as the younger Gen Xers and the Gen Zers coming out and being the Hopi prophecy. You are actually showing your beauty. And I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. And you have to understand that racism has harmed so many people, and the gender wars have harmed so many people, that to see you guys not play under these old templates is a joy to watch. It's a fucking joy. Yesterday, I read almost for an hour and a half, I'd say 90 minutes, because the rest of the 2-hour live I did was an oracle reading on the Isis Oracle deck. But for almost 90 minutes, I read about the Knights Templars. And I read about, and I've been fascinated by the Knights Templars ever since I realized that they absolutely adored and protected the Holy Grail. Not a cup, the womb. And how they built the Chartres Cathedral in obedience to the Madonna and Child. And some of you brilliant minds out there, you of the younger generations, have actually figured out that the Madonna and Child was probably never Mother Mary, but in fact Mary of Magdalene, and the issue of the love between, Mary Magdalena and Yeshua. Many of you have had this theory. And I am thinking that many of you are getting downloads. Again, when people say, is Yeshua coming back? And I always say, no, we are the fractals. We are the lion. Remember, they said he came as a lion, he'll return as a lion. He came as a lamb, he will return as a lion. We are the lions. We are the fractals. We are the fractals of Mary of Magdalene and Yeshua. And many of us, and I've said this before and I'll repeat it again, have sat in meditation, minding our own fucking business when we have a visitation from Yeshua or Mary Magdalena or both. Out of nowhere, unsolicited. Okay, so what's happening with all the ugliness and vile, savage brutality is, again, like I said this morning, and again, I urge you to follow me on YouTube. I have like so much content there, like over 950 videos on the sacred divine masculine, the destruction of the destruction of the template of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. They came here and he didn't die for our sins. It's a lie. He came with his eternal consort to show us what it was like to honor the sacred feminine, because 2,000 years ago, the brutality of the Abrahamic religions that were going to be spawned from the original, and you know what that is, that original. That's very misogynistic. The first misogynistic religion that would oppress, lobotomize, and strip and destroy the holy high priestesses who used to, and I'm saying the same shit again. If you follow me, you've heard this before, and I apologize. But some of you, maybe you're new to this. Maybe this image will make you stay for a minute. There were emperors and kings and warriors who would get counsel from high priestesses. Game of Thrones actually shows it, but like usual, because this is usually what men are afraid of, powerful women that can look like they are benign, and yet with their thoughts literally throw you against the wall without ever raising their hand on you. And there was a time when all of us had those skill sets, unless we were in 3D. But in the Game of Thrones, you'll see a woman who's got red hair, like a very dark, bloody, I would say, blood red hair. And she is a counselor to one of the kings. And of course, she calls for human sacrifice, things of that nature. You'll see that in the Game of Thrones, which again. We see the fight of the elites, the oligarchs, and how the good, and again, it's very interesting how the good get vanquished again and again and again as you watch the Game of Thrones. I highly recommend you watch the Game of Thrones. I'm not kidding. If you have not seen it before, or if you've seen it before, I ask you to look at it all over again through 5D eyes. You're going to start putting shit together, like we have done with Star Wars and so forth. Women, every time we incarnated as females, we were able to accomplish things that benefited the masculine, the divine masculine, and the divine masculine knew it and honored it and protected it and cherished it, and somehow, some way. And Marguerite Rigogliosini, a PhD, talks about that when the oracles of Delphi were torn down. In some of the other, what they call pagan systems of religion, the woman was always, and I mean that, always an equal to the masculine, always. And they called them pagans. It doesn't matter if you're going to Norway, as I mentioned earlier. It doesn't matter if you go to Gaul, which would have been France. It doesn't matter where you go, Africa, parts of Asia. My son was telling me that there were 30 samurais and they were female. The truths are rising. 30 fucking samurai warriors were women. Did you know that? And why didn't we know that? Do you realize that if men understood that, we would have better men across the world? If men realized that we had equal, and I remember when I was 8 years old, I used to draw Amazons. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but I remembered Amazons with their left breast lopped off so they could be better archers. So it'd be, because it was an encumbrance to be a great marksman with your bow and arrow. And so guess what? On the steppes of Russia, they found a burial. This was back in, I'd say, hang on for a second. That was about 20 years ago, thereabouts, give or take a few years. On the steppes of Russia, they found a burials of what they realized were female warriors with full tattoos across their arm, their fighting arm, buried in with all of their weapons, in some cases their horses, with the long wild hair that for some reason was still there, like the hair was still there and the skin was still, it was almost like mummified to dried level, I guess, if you could say. And they were the Amazons Plato had talked about. We've always had Amazons. We've always had warrior females in conjunction with the high priests and priestesses, or druid and druidesses, shamans or shamaness. And we've always had this understanding of balance. If you read the book, how the Irish save civilization, every year, the women equal to the men. This is before the new religion comes. The new religion being called the Catholic Church, before it starts taking over. They would stand in a circle, I guess, and the woman that was bonded, aka married to her man, could actually on that day, or he could too, by the way, divorce and pick a new lover, pick a new partner. And so every year, in a way, they were renewing their vows or breaking their vows. That's how revered women were. That's how nonchalantly women were seen as equals, which I talked about yesterday when I was reading from the Knights Templars, the book by, it's called Templar's Nation by Freddie Silver. I read it, because I wanted to have you understand that even during the dark, what they call the Dark Ages, Middle Ages, there were still a handful of shamanic men. I call these monks, Knights Templars, shamans, mystical men who understood the value of the feminine and why she should be protected. And right now, and this is where men have to really step up and understand, you have to lean in, my fine young little brother. The reason why misandry it's unhinged, is because there's a memory. Whenever we take on these incarnations as feminines, when we're no longer masculines, we take this on as feminines. We take on the echoing cries of our sisters. And one of the ones that really has troubled me and haunted me and I've adored is Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc. And knowing that while she was in custody, she was being essayed. She was a virgin. She was a powerhouse. And she led hard-ass warriors. Old men with scars. I see them, scars on their faces. And they saw this little slip of a girl who wanted no protection. And she, for some reason, wielded her sword with as much accuracy as any female samurai warrior to free France from the British fist of oppression. So right now, what we're seeing with the ice cubes, by the way, there's feminines in the ice cubes, and there's also people of color in the ice cubes, which I can't fucking, but get it. Somebody said to me, just because it's your skin, it's not your kin, something like that. And this is something that we have to understand about the Hopi prophecy. It's not about what someone looks like. It's about how they move. It's about what they say. Do you understand? I have to say it again and again. We are reincarnations here to make things right. And we have chosen various mantles across the rainbow of the diversity of human beings. You understand? And right now, we have animals, masculine animals, that are savage. And I call upon you, my brothers, to protect the divine feminine, because we need them. When I die, I won't be a gender. I won't be a race. I will prefer a mantle, even if it's plasmic. I might prefer a look that I like most of all, right? But I'm still not like that when I'm bare bones and gone. I am light. I'm electricity. I am not sex. I am not female. I'm not male. I'm not black, white, yellow, or red. I'm none of these things. Nor are you. And when you protect the woman, you protect parts of yourself, the reincarnated self when you were a woman. And this is what we have to keep going back to. The truths are rising for self-respect and self-understanding and self-realization to rise. Do you understand? That's what this whole journey is all about. It's not about oppressing. It's not about allowing men to say things like, your body, my choice. It's not about playing these games. It's not about playing red pill games, incel games, misogynistic games, misandrous games. This is the threshold of the great forgiveness. Because when you look at this image right here, you see a Knights Templar and a feminine high priestess. Probably looks biracial too, and she is. She's multiracial. And what does that mean? Well, guess what? They don't represent a couple. They represent two incarnations they've had separately. This is the same soul in two different bodies. Do you understand? This is not a man and a woman that fell in love. This is the example of a man who then incarnated as a woman, who then incarnated as a man, who didn't incarnate. Do you understand? That's what this image represents. It's not what you thought. Same soul, different bodies, different experiences. You understand? And this is what you have to understand within yourself. When you look into the eyes of your brother or sister, you do look into the eyes of a fractal of yourself. A piece of yourself lies behind the eyes. This is why when I work with people, when I do retreats, I have people sitting on the floor, face to face, for 9 minutes, and by 3 or 4 minutes, I don't know why, I seriously don't, people start bawling their fucking eyes out because they see the humanity of the person sitting across from them. And they get extremely emotional. And they just collapse. They're moved and they're silent. You understand? There's silence, and yet they're eye gazing. And then no one's saying anything. There's no music. There's no guidance. They're just silent, staring into each other's eyes. And they must see the humanity of that, the vulnerability, the softness, the fear, the grief, the regret, the questioning gaze. And they collapse absolutely into the deepest emotions, because they probably see parts of themselves in the person sitting opposite them. This is the threshold of the great forgiveness of yourself, of what you've done, of your regrets, and of others, even if you will never speak to them again. Even if it's like chewing on broken glass to forgive them. You do it until one day it feels neutral. It doesn't hurt. You don't resent it. There is no more anger. You'll be surprised. You'll feel like, I have had anger from family members of mine. I've had anger, and I have done the work. And I can tell you that what was your father your mother, your uncle, your brother in this life, right? When they die, when they died. And you give them time to assess what they've done in multiple life reviews, in multiple meetings, if you will, with their groups, soul groups, or guide, or other guidance system. They realize, they really do. It may take 10 years while they're on the other side of the veils. It may even take the fact that they have to incarnate and you feel nothing. You literally don't feel them for like 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. And suddenly out of nowhere, you see their numbers on a clock, on the back of a license plate, on how many likes, and you see a repeat pattern of the number of their birth date, year, whatever. And that's their way of saying, I'm back and I get it, and I'm here to help you. But for you to get to that place, and for them to get to that place, you have to forgive them, to release them, so that the samskaras do not become chains to your own advancement in the ascension journey. The most important thing that you can focus on is your soul, your ascension. And your whole focus needs to be about nothing impeding that pathway. Nothing. Not hate, not resentment, not revenge, not second guessing, not shame, not self-loathing, no what ifs. And this is incredible mastery. Trust me, because it is not easy for me. And yet I feel like I'm getting to feel the breeze of freedom on my face. I'm letting go. I want you to let go. Whatever it takes. If you have to write 8 pages and calling them motherfuckers and yelling and screaming as you write, do whatever it takes. But you need to purge this shit out of you. You're going to make it. You're going to make it because you have a heart. You're going to make it because you have a soul. And you have the kind of soul that very few people on the planet have. You are absolutely exquisite, magnificent, and powerful. They can never have what you have. They can have billions of dollars and trillions of dollars and own buildings and own banks, and all of that will fall away once you fucking step into your power. None of it means anything when we're in 5D. 5D does not recognize such supremacy. There's no hierarchy. There's no caste system. There's no I'm light skin, you're dark skin. There's not you're white, you're black. There's not I'm rich, you're poor. There's not you're gay, I'm straight. There's just love. There's just brotherhood. And if you look at various cultures across the ages, you will find that homosexuality is accepted a norm. We had trans in India, in Native American parts of this country. I don't know which tribes. I'm not that educated on that, but I know they existed because I've seen old documentaries on PBS that I remember watching on that very subject. There was no shaming of loving a man if you were a man, of loving a woman if you were a woman. There was none of that bullshit. That did not exist. It was accepted. It was the new religion that put in the shame. The only rule, always protect the children. You don't see wolf packs fucking pups. Interesting how they're shooting down wolves. You don't see horses, stallions, fucking colts. You don't see lion cubs. What you do see is a male lion who will unaliven, I'll say it for this purpose because I want this video to stick, the offending male lion. And this, I wonder where that comes from. I don't think it's normal. I think it's some Anunnaki shit. And you know why I say that? Because in every image of Buddha, and images and the right images of Yeshua, when they're under the tree of knowledge, the Bodhi tree in Buddha's case, when they're 40 nights and 40 days in the wilderness fasting and being hit by demons and shit and false desires, what happens toward the end? They're all shown with animals of every, species you can imagine. Butterflies, tigers, lions, giraffes, elephants, rabbits, raptors. They're always shown. And suddenly animals that would have been prey are not. One of the great stories that they talk about, it's the story that Italy prefers to say about the making of Rome, is the story of, I forgot the name of the boys. But you'll see the statue all over Rome. It's the statue of a she-wolf suckling, Romulus and Remus. Yeah, Romulus and Remus. That's it. The two men that supposedly established Rome. They don't talk to you about what they did with the Sabine women, but that's another one. But you'll see statues of the she-wolf, heavy with milk, suckling two boys. Where do we come from respecting all sentient beings to literally destroying sentient beings just for fun? That's reptilian shit that you need to shed out of yourself. Souls, the souls that have been incarnating into these human bodies that have free will and are able to remember themselves and are anointed by the light of the universe, do not hurt any sentient being. They don't. That's reptilian shit. And many of us have in these bodies, because of the violations of women through history, have some aspect of reptilian bloodline in our DNA. And I'm sorry, that's not going to feel good to you. But this is why the amnesia came through. Do you understand? This is part of the reason why we started forgetting ourselves. Like literally, I remember seeing an Andromedan who thought, well, actually it was not an incarnation. It was more like a walk-in. Let me temporarily see what it's like to be a human. And it was fucking game over. Game fucking over. That soul literally was lobotomized spiritually. And the density of 3D was so intense that she forgot herself for thousands of years. So, the fact that we're able to remember and hold the line and hold the light within ourselves in spite of the shit show that's surrounding us is extraordinary. And it speaks to the fact that our limited avatar, right? Because it's a limited reality, this avatar, the body that you're in, that we're able to control it, to remember. Because if we didn't have the power to do that, you'd remember in the morning and forget by nightfall. And it would be cycling. You'd be cycling like that. And you're not. You're retaining that in the truths. And as we retain memory of ourselves, right? And as we seek and hunger and howl for more truths to be revealed, more truths are rising. And they're rising every day, both evil, the evil kind, and the forgotten, buried kind, through the misogynistic machine. There is an agenda that people are talking about. Project Looking Glass, Heritage Foundation, Project Bluebeam, things of that nature. And I was just reading. I'm going to read it to you, actually. I'm going to read this to you, actually. Hang on for a quick second. Let me share this with you. Bear with me. I'm going to read this to you because I think it's important. It's from David Icke's book. Oh, shit. My thing came out. David Icke's book called The Reveal. It's called The Reveal. And I'm going to read it to you. And I really want you to lean in, okay? Heart identity. Who are we? We are infinite awareness, infinite spirit, and the heart is our connection to this true I. Try it for a while and see where it goes. The heart is where our infinite self reside. It is where we find wisdom that the head alone is denied in its perspective. Deleted bewilderment. Focus on that heart center as you. Everything else is detail and illusion. Hello, nice to meet you. Who are you? I am my heart. I am the spirit that is my heart. When you face a stressful or fearful situation and your head and belly kick off, move your attention to the heart. Feel your mental and emotional reaction being absorbed into the heart and transmuted into wisdom. Your heart will give you the expanded perspective to see what matters and what doesn't. And it usually doesn't. And if it does, your heart will provide the wisdom to respond with balance and integrity. Heart-centered people don't road rage, scream and shout. Oh my God, do you really, I want, this is for recording. Let me tell you what just happened. TikTok just banned my visibility for 10 minutes so that no one can hear this wisdom about heart frequency. Let me continue, and please share this live so that other people who can benefit from this wisdom from David Icke. The book is called The Reveal, and the page is 369, and fuck you, TikTok. Let's continue. Your heart will give you the expanded perspective to see what matters and what doesn't. And it usually doesn't. And if it does, your heart will provide the wisdom to respond with balance and integrity. Heart-centered people don't road rage, scream and shout, or fear life itself as so many humans do. In the heart, you find the calmness of love and wisdom. In the midst of even the most schematic madness, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, as the poem goes, brain and belly, thought and emotions are supposed to serve the heart, which is their point of balance and perspective. An open heart changes how we see and experience the world and calms the waters of fear. There's nothing to fear when you are eternity. The vibrational chaos of mind and emotional is transmuted into calmness and peace in the land of love where wisdom reigns. Love lifts us up where we belong, as the old song says. The 13th century mystic and poet Rumi said, "The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear." This is why I tell people, please don't pray and think it's a meditation. Praying is talking to God. When you meditate in silence, you are now listening to God. You're listening. You're waiting for deep wisdoms to come. Love and wisdom are also transmuted into action. Into action. Okay? Hang on. Where that is necessary. Their heart will never shirk from what it needs to be done. Navigating the simulation minefield of lies, deceit, and misdirection can be impossible for isolated emotion and mind. One leaps for the panic button. The other can see no answer except 5 sense answers that are not answers at all. What he means by your 5 senses, okay? That have no answers at all. The mind cannot think straight amid emotional pandemonium and often resorts to the factory settings of religious, listen to this, okay, let me repeat this because it's important. The mind cannot think straight amid emotional pandemonium and often resorts to the factory settings of religious, political, and cultural responses in the absence of clarity, the absence of wisdom. Clarity comes only when the heart is directing head and belly. Divided they fall, together they are unstoppable. I could not have uncovered what I have perceived, what I have without the heart. I filter everything through the heart and its messenger that we know as intuition. I repeat, the heart thinks, the head thinks, but the heart knows. And you know what I call that? The unspoken knowing. I observe the world and events with my heart. It tells me what is happening and why. Who to trust and not trust. Believe and not believe. Once that is established, the tangible detail follows to confirm that initial knowing. I have worked like this for more than 30 years. Sometimes the nefarious will be allowed to enter for an experience to streetwise the mind and develop emotional strength. Okay, let me stop here. Did you hear what he said? Streetwise the mind. Streetwise the soul and the mind. You know why this is brilliant? Let me tell you why. Because when you and I first fell, we were naive. We were high frequency souls, don't get me wrong. But we were naive as fuck. We were like toddlers living in this matrix. And we had no idea what was going on. And this perpetuated itself with every incarnation we took. Do you understand? Forgetting ourselves more and more. And these stuck, dense, egoic fabrication of these religions added to the coma that we all experienced. Let me continue. But once that is done, they are gone. It's happened to me many times. Let the heart be your guide, and you will soon see the telltale intuitive emanating from the chest that say yes or no, go or stop, trust or don't trust. It's like traversing a maze with someone who knows the way out because they're already out. The first time I came across Elon Musk, my heart said, don't trust him. The heart sees beyond words that tell you what you want to hear. The mind without the heart does not. The mind, like the ma'am, is a sucker for a scam. The ma'am's mind is awakening. Ma'am is, to a point, but its heart is where the real answers patiently await. Thought and emotions have manifested the world we call human as currently experienced and have done so through known human history. They have fallen for tyrants over and over, some with a sword, some with a smile. Thought and emotions are soft touch to perceptual tricksters, and the archontic system is awash with them. Moving our point of attention and identity to the heart into a unified balanced whole with thought and emotions must transform the world that we individually and collectively create. We can't fail to make manifest a different reality. To leave the body knowing what the game is, and in a heart-centered frequency and perception must release us from the wheel of samara. Withdrawing our belief in the dream must step by step dismantle the dream, the simulation illusion. How do we get out of here? We know that there is no here as we perceive it. We are not here except as a point of attention. We are everywhere. People ask the question, what is the meaning of life? But why does there have to be a meaning? Why can't the meaning, if you need one, be life itself? If I say there's no meaning in its totality, life just is. We give it meaning through our perception and actions. Why do we believe that everything must have a meaning? I must seek meaning. My life must have meaning. Why? Why can't it just be? Why can't we just be? We can forever seek meaning and forget that we are on a paintbrush on an infinite canvas of possibilities. I'm going to stop here for a minute. This is going to feel probably a little weird, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a belief system that Krishna was the personification of God who wanted his pastimes. And if you read Krishna and Radha, you'll read about his enjoyable pastimes. There was no meaning to him being here. He wasn't trying to tell people how to live. He just incarnated as a humanoid type of, with incredible powers, don't get me wrong. And they're called Krishna's pastimes. I never understood until this moment what was the relevance to that. Why are you telling me about Krishna's pastime? I have Yeshua, who was trying to walk across from Tibet to India to Egypt to Palestine, trying to convince people that they were their own way. They were their own gurus, right? And he damn near lost his life over it. But I just realized something reading this, is that those stories of Krishna's pastimes was just for us to say, enjoy your life. Have honor. Have integrity. Care for others. Enjoy your life. And make sure other people enjoy their lives too. These warring wars that have always been created as a point of reference of the balance of the good and the bad and the acceptance in the spiritual world that this was just how it was and how it'll always be because it's always been, was a lie by the machine. We're supposed to enjoy our lives. I've actually told people, okay, twin flames or twin rays. In fact, there was one couple I told them, they live in London. And I told them, you guys are in twin flames or twin rays. And she said, oh my God. And I explained to her what it meant. And she said, well, what do? We have a mission? I go, no, you don't have a mission. You're supposed to enjoy yourself, make love, have children, have grandchildren. Well, I mean, what's the point of this? And I said, your point is that people get to see you. You get to be this possibility of what love looks like. Unlike Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, where they had to show and try to kick the hornet's nest to reset a new template of divine eternal consorts, which was oppressed by the Catholic Church and oppressed by the Pharisees. Okay, obviously. You're supposed to just be. You're supposed to literally just show us how fabulous life can be when you are in love, madly in love with the love of your life, and whether you're buying flowers or going to the post office and you're glowing and you're inviting people to an open house for Christmas, you're supposed to be that example. That's all you're supposed to be. You're not on a mission. You're blessed. You get to rest. You get to enjoy. And the sad part is, for many incarnations, that's all we wanted to do. You know how I say, leave us the fuck alone? Like, I just want to build my house, and I just want to raise my kids, and I just want to eat pure food, and just leave me the fuck alone. I don't need to have a private jet. I don't need a Birkin bag. I don't need a Cartier watch. I don't. And so much of us volunteered to be on a mission to speak of the truths rising and to share what we were downloading in our meditations, to cobble together the centuries of lies and to share. And more our telepathic abilities are there. And more our telepathic abilities are right. Okay. The telepathy between twin flames. Sex and love made you pay attention. Desire and lust, desire and asking the right questions made you pay attention when the telepathy started happening between you and your beloved. But then you had to realize that the telepathy was possible with everyone you wanted to say yes to. Do you understand? In other words, how were you going to ever pay attention to these deep soul connections, but with the love of your life, and then do a 360 and realize, oh my God, I can do this with anyone. I can literally telepathically communicate. I can send image from my mind to theirs, and they will pick up. That was the point of it all. That's why the twin flames were brought into our laps, to make us realize with the one and then with the millions. Does that make sense? And it was also a journey of when we first rubbed the sleep out of our eyes and realized the concept of manifestation, which a lot of boomers and a lot of, I don't know what the fuck you call that generation, the people born in the 1890s and the 1920s that were writing books on manifestation and how to influence people and whatever the fuck books that really don't resonate with me actually at all. They were the wayfarers. The Nicholas Teslas that wanted to give away free energy, things of that nature. These broken humans, because by the time they were done on this planet, many of them, they were broken. They were alone. They were lone wolves. They never found their starseed tribes. They never found their pack. They were alone. And they died alone. And now they're celebrated as geniuses, you know what I'm saying? Some of them were gurus in India, women, men, and so forth. So my point is that all of these breadcrumbing of incredible, powerful metaphysical knowledge is finally come to a full vortex of you realizing from Abraham Hicks saying, be in the vortex, be in that place. What was it for? Money. It was always for money and health. And there's nothing wrong with money, but it was like a training ground. It's like they gave us wooden swords to practice. Okay? So we wouldn't cut ourselves or others. Money's not going to hurt anyone. Having money and manifesting money, but guess what? The ultimate goal was to train us to understand how manifesting works, how the collective manifestation works. Then we could use it to bring in the new earth. Everything we have read, whether it was about how to get that house you wanted, was ultimately to get us to this point, to bring us, to make us understand that we could individually and collectively bring in the new earth. Utopia. Yeah. but on a 5D consciousness. And that's what this is all about. And so heart coherence is a word that people throw around like, I don't know, like, you know, like it's a baseball back and forth. But what does it mean? It means listening to your heart. And most people say, and they lie to themselves, they say, yeah, well, I've listened to my heart. And look, when I listen to my heart, he fucked me over, she fucked me over. You never listen to your heart. You listen to your groin. You listen to your root chakra. When somebody tells me, oh, I feel butterflies when I met him, or I feel butterflies when I meet her, that's lust, that's not love. Because when you really meet the divine, your divine consort, you feel absolute peace and calm. There are no butterflies. None. You might not believe me, but then you're not there. Because I can assure you that every single person that's ever met their divine consort has said it was the locking of eyes, recognition, silence, within a vortex where everything stopped, sounds stopped, as if the world stopped. Acknowledgement and a sense of peace, completion, relief. There was no butterflies. There was gratitude, the heart jumping in joy, like doing flips, but not tremblings. It's different. It's completely different. And ultimately, the union, the actual entering of the merging of the bodies from root chakra to root chakra, literally in its action, you know, decalcifying a lot of trauma in the root chakra. So I've talked about it many, many times. So as we watch the most insane, narcissistic, it's malignant narcissism that you're watching in action. It's an ulterior, and by the way, you are watching an ulterior reality and universe, literally. And you have to let go of your comfort zones. You know what irritates me? I'm going to be blunt. People that go to the most exotic place going, where's the McDonald's? Where's the Burger King? 5D is not going to have that. I mean, that's like, it should make you laugh. But why is it that we normalize that, we go and we're looking for what we're familiar with? You have to be adventurous and you have to be comfortable with differences. And you have to embrace and be excited over these differences for crime. I mean, bloody hell. You have to say, this is exciting. Holy fuck, I've never experienced this. It's exciting. You mean you've never experienced it in this body, in this life. But actually, in truth, you have. So that's the journey, my friends. The book that I was reading from is called The Reveal, The Stage of Human Awareness. Let me see if there's anything else I should read to you. Let me see, hang on, let me see if there's anything else. No, by the way, that was the end of his book, by the way, what I read, which is incredible. There's some things that I don't agree with, just to be clear, just so you know, okay? There's some things that you need to understand. We are having the human experience, and there are many things I'll say that you won't agree with, which is fine. And there are many things that I will say, and a year later, I won't agree with it. I'll change my opinion. And that's my prerogative. In fact, that's what you want to do. It's called fucking thinking and looking at things from a different point of view and realizing that I thought this was true and now it's not. And the people that we're seeing change, by the way, fundamentally good people will eventually see the light. And this is true. People that mean well. And some people will still hold on to their dogma, just so you know. But the two people that I'm probably going to fucking lose you, and that's okay. I don't give a shit. Apparently, you still need to learn. People are not black and white, my friend. They're not, okay? We are seeing pure evil. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, us who are for real, we're not black and fucking white. And we actually, many of us, struggle with that truth within ourselves. We're very judgmental of ourselves because we do have belief systems that we're trying to dismantle. Many of you understand that if you're honest. And what I saw with Candace Owens, I'm going to bring her up, is somebody who still is pushing religious dogma. Don't get me wrong, okay? But you know what? She's growing up, and she's only, I think she's going to be 37 this year. She's just a kid, actually. Don't treat her like she's 60, like an elder that knows better. I know when I was her age, I fucking believed shit that I can't believe I fucking believed in. So, let's like back up here for a minute. You understand? People change radically. And if you look back at yourself and you're honest, if you're telling me you woke up in 2024, 2028, for you to judge anyone else is wrong. Because no offense, how stupid you sounded back in 2015. If I had told you what David Icke was saying was true, you would have called me crazy. Now today you're scratching your head going, what the fuck, maybe that's true. Don't be so quick to judge people. And look at your clock. How old are you? What did you believe in when you were 20? Many of you came out of these incredible, crazy institutional religions. And you know who I'm talking about. You know where you've gone. There are people still trying to fucking decompress and deconstruct being part of Jehovah, Mormon, Lutheran, Baptist. I mean, come on, man. Satanic even. I'm not joking when I say that, quite literally. And Catholicism, Judaism, Muslim isms, any isms. And wondering, what the fuck was I? Where was I, man? Where was my head? It was up my ass. Well, to be fair, you were raised by families who actually believed in this shit. Until you were going to go to hell. I mean, let's be honest. Candace Owens still thinks that a man shouldn't love a man, that you'll go to hell. Well, let's go back to the ancient ways. Love is love. Love is love. But what I will say, we all agree, keep your hands off the fucking kids. We're good to go. She agrees, I agree, you agree. And on that, we have common ground. And sometimes that's all we need is one little piece of ground that we can all say yes to. Sasha Riley, his testimony on Substack, I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Danish, Swedish, African, nor whatever the fuck you are. Most of us who have a heart and a soul realize that then it's amazing this man didn't take his own life. Okay, fuck it. I'm just going to say it. With what he saw at the age of 12. And just pull out a picture of you when you were 12 and tell me how you would have handled that shit. There are evil people. And the truth is rising. It is rising, and it is rising, and it is rising, and nothing, and they can't stop it. And there is a split. The earth is splitting. 3D is going to be God knows where, and I don't give a fuck. And 5D is going to be right here on this planet, reclaimed. These people do not have a frequency match to our consciousness, and you need to raise your vibration so that it is so. So that the overarching frequency of the 144,000s can override 8 billion people. And if you think I'm full of shit, I'm not for you. 144,000. Any given time. When I die, somebody else takes the baton. When you die, somebody else takes the baton. 144,000. That number never ends. But the problem is we've never been on the same fucking consciousness at the same time. Marianne Williamson gave out the call to meditate 6 p.m. West Coast, 9 p.m. East Coast time every day for 1 minute. 1 fucking minute. To get the consciousness. If only 144,000 people did it every day, it would flip a switch of shifts that would you have no idea. I would invite you to go for 3 minutes, to be honest. Because Dr. Joe Dispenza with his neurological team determined scientifically that the brain starts slipping into an altered state at 2 minutes of meditation. It has been documented and it's been graphed. So I would invite you to go 2 minutes, 3 minutes, definitely 3 minutes. Every day, 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. West Coast. 144,000, my friends. Are you one of them? And don't call yourself a chosen one. We volunteered. You have non-organic beings. You have reptilian souls in human bodies. And the rest, I can't fucking vouch for. And we will be toppling and bringing over millions of other people who will be wiping the sleep out of their eyes. But to be honest with you, I finally realized it fucking is for real. This was never some mythological number. There only is that number. And apparently that's all we need. That's all we need. So it's about us all being at the same page on the same moment. And if you could raise your frequency and stop letting your monkey mind tell you to, fucking you up. If you could chant every day. I did a couple yoga poses where I literally did what, the book I read to you guys a couple days ago on Swami Ananda Radha, on being in your yoga pose and then chanting a mantra. I did my Om Namah Shivaya 10 times on one side of my position, 10 times on the other side of the position. I did it. I have more yoga positions and more mantras to, and literally stay still in that position. I tell you guys, do the tree and do Om Namah Shivaya on the tree position. It's going to take you 10 seconds. Do you get where I'm coming from? We have to hack out of the dogma. We have to hack out of our self-loathing, our inability to believe in ourselves, in why we're here. Some of you have been listening to me for years, for at least 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years. I forgot exactly how long. You understand? And you know that I'm preaching to the choir, but I need you to now do it and preach to other choirs. We're not here to evangelize New Age, New Earth, Hopi prophecy. We're here to tell those who say, I'm fucking exhausted. I've never felt home here. I feel homesick. Why am I here? We're here to tell them, here's some ideas for you to digest. What do you think? Does it feel good to you? A lot of people are running back to the dogmatic religions, by the way. I've mentioned it before, but it's alarming how many people are running back to the cave of ignorance. Let them go. Let them go. They're afraid. And they're thinking that to be psychic is demonic. They're thinking to be telepathic is demonic. Why? Why is that? Well, because some people have used it to make money. People in hoodoo voodoo, right, have used some of the things to make money. I've said some kind things about them because they're doing it for the right reason. There's certain things they're doing for the greater good of humanity, to be honest. But you don't ever manipulate anyone's free will. Never, never, never. Does this shit work? Yes. Get your ego out of your ass. If you're one of the 144,000 volunteers, get your head out of your ass and do what you were fucking born to do, which is raise your vibration, raise your frequency, and get shit done. There will be people that will tell you that you need to do X, Y, and Z. They will promote physical violence. And I will bring you back to the French Revolution and tell you that we went from a king, Louis XVI, to an emperor, Emperor Napoleon, within what? Less than 25 years? It doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work. Okay? So we don't want to go from one asshole to another. We want a fucking brand new consciousness, a brand new earth. That's what we want. That's it. It's pretty much it. So I want to send you much love on your journey. Your ascension symptoms might be sleeping a lot of sleeping because your body is being upgraded. More people are going to drop their bodies because they can't do it. I'm just going to be very honest with you. And please be there to celebrate their journey home. Please be that voice that's not fucking begging and crying for them to stay. When the body shuts down, it can't come back. Do you understand? Please be that voice of reason, that voice of love that says, congratulations, baby, you're going home. Yes, I'll see you there, but not yet. Not yet. Gladiator, last scene. Not yet. But I'm so happy for you, you're going home. You're going home. There's some people whose souls and their actual physical body are not wired for what's to come. It's not negative. It just is. So prepare yourself. And some of you are around people who are ill, who are not healthy, and you know who you are. Prepare yourself. Okay? And the reason why we need community, more and more physical communities, is so that we can support each other physically with hugs, sitting across the kitchen table and staring into each other's eyes and saying, it's okay, let's do a circle, let's do a circle, make sure their journey is swift and filled with love and they go in the right direction, meaning where love is. Let's not allow these weird, nefarious New Agers talking about this being a prison planet and making it sound like this planet is only a prison. It's a prison if the collective agrees it is. It is heaven on earth if the collective agrees it is. Don't forget that when some of these galleons, British galleons, came upon the Polynesian islands, it was heaven on earth. They couldn't believe their fucking eyes. The children of Eden swimming out to their boats with joy, celebration, fearlessness. And they turned it into fucking hell. Right? Don't forget, we've had pockets of 5D for centuries, conquered by colonialist, imperialist, misogynist systems using religion as the reasoning. We're almost there. We're actually there. We actually have a divine appointment. It's already been written. And you just got to hold the line. Get your shit together in your head. Listen to your heart. I hope you listen to this live again. This live is going to be important for you. When the TikTok is handed over to these to the ultimate machine, you'll find me on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube at Sacred Intimacy Tarot. And once I can figure out my Rumble and my fucking Substack, you can follow me there. I'll set up an account on Substack. You're going to be okay, my friend. If you recognize yourself without the ego as 144,000 one of the ones, if you followed me and if you follow other people who are saying the same shit, I mean the same exact stuff I'm saying, but different words, different tones, different vibration, but they're saying the same thing, we're all on a collective telegraph. We are telepathically being spoken to by their higher light beings, and we are also sharing from the downloads. It is extraordinary. And you need to teach your children and grandchildren that they have these gifts. The skill set, they're born with it. All right, sending you much love on your journey. I'll see you soon. Namaste, be well. Oh, good, Matt. I love you. Thank you, brother.